Millions of permits are expiring this year and next year and the year later. A lot of people will be leaving, whether I say it, whether they think of it, whether somebody tells them or not. Many people will be leaving. A lot of things that you are seeing now, they will settle down. But the scores, express entry scores, I don't see them coming down that much. I know people made a big hullabaloo about the job offer points, and they thought once the job offer points are gone, the express entry pool will become half, will become 50%. I used to always tell you guys that there are lots and lots of people in Canada who are studying masters, who are studying the diplomas. They already have the foreign work experience. They already have or other are gaining Canadian experience. They can score CLB 9s and 10s. People just won't understand, but those are the chunk of people who are now sitting with score of 501 and above. And I think one of the biggest problems came when we had Sean Fraser as our immigration minister. And of course Marco Mendicino. How can I forget that as well? The 75 CRS draw, my God, that was a disaster in immigration. I mean, in immigration history, Canadian immigration history, when they do right with those blooded hands, 75 score CRS draw was the most ridiculous, stupid thing to have done. And then the next stupid thing to have done was the TR to PR. I mean, what was so bearing on you to have to conduct those programs and draws? If you wouldn't have met your PR target for 1 year, who would have complained? Who in Canadian public would have pointed fingers and said, "Hey, you did not complete your target for this year. You do not deserve to be a minister." Nobody would have said anything. Everybody knew it was COVID. Everybody knew things were difficult. But for you to come out and do those kind of draws, it never made sense then. It doesn't make sense now. I mean, right now it is a glaring, big gaping hole in that in the otherwise history that you guys have really screwed this up badly, guys. And then you extended postgraduate work permits. You extended it once. I understand it was COVID. A lot of people were suffering. A lot of people didn't have jobs and they needed to be given relief. Understandable. You extended postgraduate work permit one. Why for 18 months? Why not 12 months? But you extended. Okay, fair enough. Then you extended postgraduate work permit again. And not only did you extend it again, you also told the ones who you extended earlier, they could also get an extension. Why? Then you said, spouses, you will all get an extension. Spouses, people who are on spouse open work permit. Now, people who took advantage of all of this, for them, I might be looking like a villain. I might be looking like somebody who's talking his mouth off. But for everybody else, you need to understand what these things did to everybody. You guys, you dropped the IELTS requirement for SDS stream in education. Okay. You allowed spouse open work permits for all tier categories. First, it was only 0, 1, 2, 3. Then they said all spouses could come. You allowed diploma mills to run all over the country. You allowed PPP programs. My God, the mess you guys created. And now the result that you guys are all facing, it's single-handedly those two guys who completely made a mess. And now we are suffering with what we have right now. Okay. Uh, Sorry for the rant, but I go through this on a day-to-day basis. So sharing it with you today. But as you can see, these bandit solutions that these guys made, uh, trying to look heroes at that point of time, trying to appease to the labor lobbies or appease to these business lobbies who needed the cheap labor. And how better to get cheap labor than to get these international students to work? Who else is going to be working at $16 an hour at Tim Hortons and working for 10 hours and 12 hours, working through the holidays, don't care what's happening, sometimes don't even get paid? I mean, and this is what you now have, and this is what we are sitting with now. We have all these, situation that we have all these issues right now. We have this ridiculous high CRS scores, which we cannot even. Did you ever comprehend in 2021, 2022, that even with a score of 510, you would be thinking, "Will I get an ITA? Should I go back? Should I start learning French?" Did anybody ever comprehend that 500 score is going to be anybody with score of 500 plus would be like, will be chewing their teeth and thinking, what the hell is going to happen to me? Am I going to get an invitation? Did anybody who was studying in McGill, in University of Toronto, in any of the top Queen's University, or name any of the top universities, did anybody then think that these people will have no chance or will have to be just go back after having studied? I mean, come on. So Now that we are in this situation, now that we have a new prime minister, now that we have a new immigration minister, I'm not sure which direction they are going to take. And while they sort out this mess that was created by these two previous immigration ministers, there is going to be hardship, there is going to be problem, there is going to be difficulties. Now, Mark Miller, as much as a lot of people don't like him for the reasons because he wasn't conducting draws the way they wanted, but he was trying to do whatever he could to sort out this mess. So whether it was reducing the number of international students, whether it was again curtailing the spouse open work permits, but again curtailing who can get postgraduate work permits or not. These were all efforts being made to reduce these inflated numbers that the first two ministers had managed to bring in. Uh, so I thought Mark Miller was doing a great job, and I would have really, really wished that he would have been allowed to continue for another bloody 4 years, so that we could have had a better system in place. But alas, we keep getting immigrant. I mean, we change immigration minister faster than your babies change their diapers, right? You had the Ahmad Hussein, then you had the Marco Mendicino, then you had the Sean Fraser, then you have the Mark Miller, then you have the Rachel Bandain, and then we now have Lena Diab. I mean, all of this within the last 7, 8 years. What the hell's going on here, right? So, as you can see, how frustrated sometimes I am with all these things. But I guess things will continue with the way they will continue. Things will happen the way things will happen.